The night the single father made the choice that would change all their lives forever, rain fell like it was trying to erase the world. The marketplace was nearly empty, lights flickering, mud clinging to worn shoes, and at the far edge of the street stood two small girls holding hands too tightly for their age. Their eyes were hollow in a way no child's eyes should ever be. What the man did next would haunt him, heal him, and ultimately reveal a truth so shocking that it would redefine what family truly meant. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of doing what feels right even when the world is cruel, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that may be breaking in silence. The man's name was Daniel Hale, a widowed father in his late 30s who had learned to carry grief like a second spine. 3 years earlier, cancer had taken his wife and left him alone with a 6-year-old son and a silence that never fully left the house. Daniel worked long hours repairing industrial machines, coming home each night exhausted, smelling of oil and rust, but always forcing a smile so his son would not grow up remembering only sorrow. Money was always tight, dreams were postponed, and life moved forward not with hope, but with endurance. He told himself survival was enough. That night, Daniel had stopped at the market after a double shift, hoping to buy discounted bread before closing time. That was when he noticed the woman standing under a torn plastic sheet, her posture sharp, her eyes restless. Beside her were the twin girls, no older than 8, dressed in thin, mismatched clothes soaked through by rain. Their hair clung to their faces, and their bare feet were red from the cold. A cardboard sign lay at their feet with words scribbled in haste, offering them not for adoption or help, but for sale. Daniel felt something twist. Painfully in his chest, the same feeling he had the day doctors told him his wife was gone. The woman explained without shame that she was their stepmother, that their father had died, and that the girls were nothing but a burden. Her voice carried irritation rather than sadness, as if she were selling broken furniture instead of human lives. Daniel tried to walk away. He truly did. He told himself it was none of his business, that he barely managed one child already. But the girls' eyes followed him, not with hope, but with resignation, as if they had already accepted that the world had no place for them. Daniel turned back. What he did next felt less like a decision and more like a surrender. He paid the woman every bit of emergency savings he had, money meant for rent and school fees, and watched as she vanished into the rain without looking back. The twins did not cry, did not speak, did not even react. They simply stood there, waiting for whatever came next, their small hands still locked together like the last thing they owned. Bringing them home felt surreal. Daniel's apartment was small, cluttered with tools and toys, and filled with the smell of reheated food. His son stared in confusion as the two girls stood by the door, dripping water onto the cracked floor. That night, Daniel laid blankets on the floor, cooked the simplest meal he could manage, and watched as the twins ate slowly, carefully, as if afraid the food might disappear. They slept without moving, curled together like wounded animals, and Daniel sat awake until dawn, realizing that survival was no longer enough. Responsibility had chosen him. The weeks that followed were heavy. The girls barely spoke, flinched at sudden movements, and woke screaming from nightmares they could not explain. Daniel learned patience in ways he never had before. He learned how silence could be louder than cries, how fear could hide behind obedience, and how love did not always arrive wrapped in gratitude. His son, surprisingly, adapted faster than anyone. He shared toys, offered smiles, and became a bridge Daniel never knew he needed. Money ran out quickly. Bills stacked up. Daniel skipped meals so the children would not. He sold tools, worked extra shifts, and still felt like he was drowning. But something else began to change. The twins started to relax, their shoulders lowered, their eyes softened. Laughter, quiet at first, began to echo through the apartment like sunlight finding cracks in stone. One evening, while helping them wash up, Daniel noticed scars on their arms and backs. Thin, pale lines that spoke of punishment rather than accidents. His hands trembled as he realized these were not the marks of poverty alone, but cruelty. That night, he did not sleep. He sat at the kitchen table, staring at the wall, understanding that what he had done was not just rescue, but interruption. He had interrupted a cycle of harm, and the weight of that truth pressed heavily on him. As months passed, teachers began to notice the girls' intelligence. They learned quickly, devoured books, and showed a strange maturity for their age. But there were moments when they froze at raised voices, moments when they apologized for existing, moments when Daniel realized that healing was not linear. Still, he pressed on, guided by something deeper than logic. He felt as though his wife, gone but not absent, had nudged him toward this path. The shock came unexpectedly. One afternoon, a social worker arrived unannounced. Paperwork had surfaced. Questions were asked. Records were reviewed. What Daniel learned unraveled everything he thought he knew. The twins were not just unwanted children cast aside by a cruel stepmother. They were beneficiaries of a forgotten trust left by their biological mother, a woman who had died under suspicious circumstances. The stepmother had sold them illegally to access the funds without responsibility, erasing their identities to avoid oversight. Worse still, the girl's real surname matched Daniel's wife's maiden name. Further investigation revealed the impossible. The twins were Daniel's late wife's nieces, separated from the family years earlier after a bitter inheritance dispute. The realization struck like lightning. These girls were not strangers. They were blood. Family lost to time and cruelty, now returned through unimaginable circumstances. Daniel collapsed into a chair when the truth settled. Grief, rage, and awe tangled inside him. He had not just saved 2 children, he had unknowingly brought home the last living pieces of his wife. The universe, it seemed, had a way of restoring what it took, though never in ways one could predict. Legal battles followed. The stepmother was arrested. Custody was formalized. The trust was recovered. But none of it mattered as much as the quiet moments. The mornings filled with shared breakfasts, the evenings with homework spread across the table, the slow, steady rebuilding of trust. The twins began calling the apartment home. They began dreaming again. Daniel often wondered how close he had come to walking away that night in the rain, how easy it would have been to miss everything that followed. He realized that sometimes destiny does not arrive with certainty or comfort. Sometimes it waits at the edge of a broken street, disguised as an impossible choice. Years later, the apartment would be replaced by a house filled with noise, photos, and warmth. The scars would fade, the nightmares would lessen, the twins would grow into confident young women who understood the value of kindness because they had known its absence. Daniel's son would grow up knowing that family is not only who you are born to, but who you choose to protect. Just before this story ends, I want to ask you something special. Please comment below and share what you believe truly defines a family. Your words may help someone reading in silence feel less alone. As Daniel watched his children laughing in the sunlight one afternoon, he finally understood the lesson that shocked him most of all. He had not bought those girls. He had been entrusted with them. Love, he learned, cannot be owned, sold, or forced. It can only be chosen, again and again, even when the cost feels unbearable. If this story touched your heart, if it stirred something deep inside you, please like this video, share it, and leave a comment. Your engagement helps keep stories of hope alive in a world that desperately needs them.